reason why I need to have this is that people who follow me are mostly sinners. So, so they need to hear the word of the Lord.
So he knew how to calculate cost of goods, he knew how to purchase, he knew how to price, he knew how to repair, he knew even how to collect debts.
You strongly believe Jesus was a businessman?
Yes.
Anyone who sets up a business to work in it, you created a job for yourself, that business will fail.
When the leader sees small,
the
business is definitely going to stay
small,
and so is everyone in it, trapped in the smallness.
Exactly.
You who think the business people are not in kingdom business. Ooh.
Welcome to Business Garage. Today you are very, very special guest. This time, if you're tuning in for the very first time, Business Garage is brought to you by Worship Harvest Ministries. And at Worship Harvest, we're a movement of the gospel, discipleship, and mission. And we exist for the purpose of catalyzing spiritual, social, and economic renewal in our immediate communities and, as a result, the world. And at Worship Harvest, we plant life-giving, disciple-making, community-renewing churches. And we is Garage Time, and I am your host this morning, Sharon Tumusime, and we're coming to you live from Worship Harvest Ministries, the studio, where today we have an excellent interview. Actually, it's not an interview, it's a conversation about something that we've been discussing. We've been taught, if you've been part of Worship Harvest and you have attended Garage last Sunday and attended MC Live on Wednesday, you definitely know what I am talking about. We have been talking about the anointing for land and buildings. So today we have a conversation in line with that. So quickly do share this link, invite your friends, your family members, everybody today. This is not only for business people. Some of you don't watch because you think it's for business people only. This topic affects each and every one of us. So go ahead, share that link, forward it to your friends, family members, share it on your WhatsApp status so that your friends do not miss out. Your colleagues, business partners, associates, your spouse. Come on, let them know that they definitely must tune in to Business Garage today. And at Business Garage, we equip and resource kingdom men and women to go and influence the marketplace for Jesus by giving you kingdom practices as a business owner. That's what we do on Business Garage. And Business Garage is part of the Business Leaders Network, which is a part of Worship Harvest Ministries. If you would like to join BLN, that's the Business Leaders Network of Worship Harvest Ministries, you can just type in the chat and someone will tell you how to join, or you can ask your location pastor. If you're a member of Worship Harvest Ministries, they'll be definitely able to connect you to a Business Leaders Network near you where you can get resourced. And Business Leaders Network, we come off on 3 pillars. That is coaching, community, and capital. Coaching is where we learn, and then community, where we meet each week to discuss, to learn, and share. And capital, we can just give you advice on how you can gain that access to the capital that you need and your business. And today we are privileged, we are fortunate and honored to have with us somebody that understands the whole conversation of land and houses and buildings. She does it for a living. She's been in that space for over 20 years. So today we have the privilege of hosting with us a chartered surveyor, yes, and a managing director in the leading real estate and property development companies in Uganda, consultancy firm, Knight Frank Uganda. So welcome with me, Judy Chanda Rugasera, who is here with us today to just share more on this topic. You are most welcome, Judy.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you very much, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Judy was here a couple of months ago. She was here in February, if you remember, and we had a conversation, but today she is back. We thought, why not? We're talking about land and buildings, so the best thing right now is to have somebody to just shed more light. Apostle has labored to teach us to make sure that we aspire, we dream of, and we just get to understand that it's not enough to have mansions in heaven. We should also have mansions here on earth. You know, His will be done in heaven and on earth as it is in heaven. So we should definitely have land and mansions here as well. And he has also mentioned and taught us that Abraham, on the promise for Abraham, was descendants as well as land. So making disciples, but also land. And he asked a very special question: where will your disciples live? So today we are here to have that conversation with you, Judy. And we want to just get right into it, starting with the myths around, land ownership in Uganda as well as building. We want to start with that because I'm sure even as he was teaching, some of those myths were coming up in people's heads at that moment. So quickly into it, I would like to first start with the first myth, one of those that we always hear about. You need a lot of money to invest in real estate.
Not true.
It's not true.
That is not true. You can start or enter the land investment market with as little money as 5 million shillings.
Yeah.
It really depends on where you want to buy, the size of land that you want to buy, and where you want, and when you want to buy it.
Yes.
So there isn't a specific amount that you need to have to enter the land market, but obviously the more you have, the bigger the plot of land you can get. But also there is a price, there's land at different prices. You can buy a plot of land for 5 million. A little further out, you can buy a plot for 10 million.
Yeah.
A little less further out.
Yes.
So I don't think it's true to say that you need a lot of money before you can actually become a landowner.
Yes.
You need some money.
You need some money.
Not a lot.
Not a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. So that one has been demystified. So if you were listening to the teaching while thinking that has been demystified. And then somebody else mentioned that you need a lawyer or don't need a lawyer to buy property. Is there a need for lawyers in this whole land transaction business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Legal advice is critical when you're going out to buy land, especially if you're a layperson and you don't have a lot of legal experience. I would advise you to seek the services of a lawyer to guide you through the whole due diligence approach, to help you with your sale agreements, to help you through your whole transactions.
Yes.
It's important, yeah.
All right. So we would be advised to get a lawyer or seek some advice. So go in there in your missional communities, ask. There could be one of your missional members that's a lawyer that will be able to guide you. So the only real estate worth investing in is the one in Kampala.
Not true.
Yes.
Kampala's getting very saturated. Kampala's getting very crowded. So Kampala's expanding and moving. That's why we now have what we call the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area. Yeah. The city limits keep pushing further and further and further out. So the capital city is not the only place that you can invest in and buy land or property. We're now looking at Wakiso, we're looking at Mpiji, we're looking at Mukono, we're looking at Kira. So we're slowly getting out of CBD, out of Kampala, and into the Greater Kampala metropolitan areas.
Yes, and it's valuable. It's worth investing in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. There's one about freehold, the land tenure systems in Uganda. That all land in Uganda is freehold.
No, that's not true. Mm-hmm. We have freehold land, we have Milo land, we have leasehold land, we have Bibanja. So no,
yes.
That's not true.
So it's important to know which one you buy.
Which one you buy, yes.
All right. Okay, so not all land is freehold, guys, okay? That one has been demystified as well. And there's another myth here that real estate agents are too expensive. So please avoid them. Yeah, just find out from your relatives. Leave those guys alone.
Not necessarily. And there's always an option of negotiation as well. If you find them expensive, there's always an option of negotiating on what their commission is going to be. But in many instances, they're useful and they're helpful as long as you make sure that you get a legally registered or recognized estate agent, and not just any old broker that you have got no track record of, or has no legal standing to do what they're doing, you've got to be very careful, because not all the estate agents out there are genuine.
Yeah.
So there are some, unscrupulous agents out there, so you need to be very careful.
Yes.
But certainly their fees are negotiable.
Fees are negotiable.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last one, that it's a myth that real estate always appreciates. Is that true? Does it always appreciate, guaranteed?
Well, land generally tends to appreciate in value, so
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
Property, not so much, because that it's very much dependent on the market factors of supply, demand, and how the market is doing generally.
Yeah.
So with regards to property, it tends to perform in line with the economy.
Yeah.
If the economy is growing, then the real estate sector is also performing well. If it's not, if the economy is not as active, then the real estate sector also tends to be soft and slower.
Yeah.
So in that instance, the answer is no. The property market doesn't necessarily appreciate
Yes.
over time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yes, guys, you can still go ahead and invest in that land. For those of you that thought that it doesn't, that this is not a good season. What I'm hearing, it's always a good season to buy some land.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes, it's always a good thing to go ahead and buy that land. So those are some of the myths that we found out there as we're preparing to come here to have this conversation with you. I don't know if you can think about any other, but I think those are the most common that we have had all over the place about that. Unless you can think of any other, Judy, you could always share with us. All right. I remember the last time you were here, you sort of talked about this matter, but if you could take the viewers through, what are some of the essential steps, the basic steps that someone would go through when they are acquiring land?
So it's always very important to do their due diligence. First
Okay.
of all, you need to know where exactly the land that is being sold is. So it is important that you actually go and visit the land that you're going to buy.
Yeah.
You'll be very surprised how many people buy land from their desks. Someone brings a title, some photos, and introduces the land to them, and they take
Wow.
an interest. So please get out
They're
of
so
your
trusting.
seats. Absolutely.
Yeah, even if it's my MC member.
Yeah, absolutely. Get out of your seat. Take that trip. Go and see where the land actually is.
Yeah.
And then whilst you're there, you need to do your due diligence. Ask the local LCs, some questions. Who owns it? Take your land surveyor with you.
Okay.
Do some boundary verifications to make sure that what the area that is being, talked over, that you're being sold, corresponds with what is on the land title.
Yeah.
Because in many instances you find that the area on the ground doesn't correspond with what's on the title. So please get the services of a land surveyor. Let them come out there and help you to verify the boundaries of what it is you're buying. One, to let you know if the size of land that you're buying is
The right
actually
one,
the
what
right
they
one that is
claim.
on the title.
Yeah.
And number two, that the property that you've been shown is where it is.
Oh.
Okay, you've heard of people buying air, right? So
Yes, yeah.
So you've got to make sure that with the help of your land surveyor, because if you're a lay person, sometimes you wouldn't really know if the plot number
Yes.
is what is on the title, because the
You
plots
can't,
are not
yes.
labeled.
Yeah.
And they're not marked. So it would be really helpful for you to go with a land surveyor so that they can actually walk you through the boundaries and ascertain that the plot number on the title is where you are standing.
Yeah.
And that is the land that you're actually buying. The other thing that you'd need to do is to through the land surveyor, just make sure you're not in a swamp, make sure you're not in a wetland, make sure that the land is not waterlogged and you can't actually develop it.
Yeah.
That would really help, because you might end up, paying for something you can't use. So it's important to make sure that you actually go through the pains of taking a land surveyor to help you with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And then when that is done, obviously you get back and draft a sale agreement. Very important to formalize and put on paper by way of a sale agreement. Your discussions, your transactions and your negotiations have got to be documented by way of a sale agreement, and you can use a lawyer to help you do that. Make sure you capture all the terms of your agreement that you've agreed on. make sure they're all captured and included in the sale agreement, including the payment terms, when they will be paid, when the title will be handed over.
Oh.
You don't just sign the transfer form and leave it at that and hope for the best. So you agree on all that. Who's paying the stamp duty? Who's paying the legal fees? All this needs to be agreed upon. What deposit is being paid initially? When will the balance be paid? What happens if you default on the agreements that you have on the payment terms? So all these are really important, and you need to capture them in the sale agreement.
Sale agreement.
That's
so it cannot
correct.
be a one-liner. I have sold you my land.
No.
Yeah.
You need to capture a few more details in there.
Yes.
And then once that is done, obviously you money exchanges hands. You've got to make sure that stick to the terms of the agreement. Money exchanges hands. Title exchanges hands as well. And you also need to know when you can take possession. Because just because you've bought and paid for the land today doesn't necessarily mean that
tomorrow we can start clearing and start building.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, very important
that's an
to find
interesting
out-
one.
Yeah,
yes.
to find out when you can actually take possession of
and
the land
and
that you've
agree
bought.
as well in there.
Correct.
Yes. All right. I guess people are learning. I hope people are learning that as much as they said go buy land, you need to know some of these key things, especially the part of capture everything in the sale agreement.
Yes.
Yeah. Just because they're in your MC, please don't just buy land and say thank you very much and give them money. Okay. And so once they have done that and I have acquired my property and my land title, then what? Is that it? Is there a place I need to go? Do I need to go to lands? Is there anything else that someone needs to know?
Well, hopefully, when you do your legal due diligence, your lawyer will have done a search, what we call a search from the Ministry of Lands. And that search will inform you as to whether there's an encumbrance,
Okay.
whether there's a caveat, whether there's a mortgage. And when there's a mortgage, then that is called an encumbrance, and it's registered on the title. So when you do the search, hopefully, from Ministry of Lands, it should give you all this information. And it's very important that you know what the status of your title is before you actually go ahead and pay for it. So that's the due diligence that I was talking about.
So you're talking about, that's part of it as well.
Yes.
All right. I think that's the most important part probably of this whole land transaction. Don't just trust. You need to do the due diligence and find out that this is really a safe investment so that you can avoid buying air. Yeah, we are buying land, not buying air, guys. So please make sure you do what you're supposed to do. There are fake land titles all over the place. All sorts of things are going on. And once some people have seen the flyer, they'll be like, those Worship Harvest guys want land. And, you never know who could show up. But we also have a space in Worship Harvest, HMC, where you can buy some plots of land that you can trust. And it is not air. Yeah, so please contact your HMC coordinator and you can, find out what is happening in HMC. That's Harvest Multipurpose, and find out if you can buy land there as well. They are selling right now, actually, very good prices, so do refer to them. All right, and someone was asking, limited budget. So I have a limited budget, or I don't have enough money, because we all want to acquire some of this land. What are some ideas you think people can acquire land? Well, I don't have enough money right now, but what are those ideas? Are there any ideas around that you can use to acquire land even when you don't have a lot of money, quote unquote?
Well, you just talked about HMC.
Okay.
So you can pull money together.
Yeah.
Get a group of friends, family, workmates, and pull money together. Investment clubs are doing this. SACCOs are doing this.
Yeah.
Cooperatives are doing this. So even HMC. That's a good way of buying and owning land. So you don't always have to go it alone. You can pull money together, and as a group you acquire some land and split it up or own it jointly with your friends or with whoever you want to buy the land with.
All right. Is there a limit to how many of us can own a plot of land or whatever? Is there a limit?
Well, not really, because hopefully the more of you there are, the more money you have there for the bigger the amount of land you can buy.
Yeah.
So the numbers have to be manageable, obviously, because sometimes it's very difficult to make decisions when there's 100 people on one plot of land.
Yes.
But and then also it becomes how big are the units that you're going to divide amongst yourselves. So it needs to be realistic
Yes.
at the end of the day. But certainly, pooling money together is a good way of entering the land market.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But then the same processes, I'm sure, apply. Make sure you know who you're buying with. Is it the same? If we're buying many, what should we consider? If we're, 10 of us and we're an MC and we want to buy land, what's some of the things we...
Yeah, the basics that I've spoken about are important and need to be taken into consideration. But there's also a few others. Obviously, when there's more than one of you, then it's a group.
Yes.
And the legal structure of that group is important.
Okay.
Are you buying as a partnership? Are you buying as a corporation? Are you buying as a limited liability company? So the legal structure of how you're acquiring the land is important because it will have an impact on the tax status of the ownership. So you need to be very, very careful and agree on how it is you're going to own the land and what the legal structure of the ownership is.
Yes.
You also need to think about the financing at the end of the day. How are you going to finance the land that you're buying?
Yes.
Are you getting a mortgage? Who's going to pay what amounts?
Yes.
How are you going to split up the amounts?
Yeah.
Are you getting debt? I've talked about that. Who's going to cover the expenses? And how are the profits going to be distributed?
Yes.
So when you're doing the investment, it's not just about putting the money in. You need to think about the long term as well.
Yeah.
Because it's all very well acquiring the land, but someone has to look after it. Someone has to maintain it.
Yes.
Who's that going to be, and who's going to pay for that?
And how do you pay them? Yes.
All these need to be agreed upon.
Yeah.
I would say you also need a clear vision of what it is you want to do. Because, if 10 or 20 of you have bought into the land, are you aligned in your vision of what you want to do with that land? Somebody might want to grow maize. Somebody else might want to build apartments. Somebody else might want to build a playground.
Yeah, another one just wants to sell after a few years.
Exactly. So there needs to be
some alignment, really.
Some alignment as to what exactly you want to do with the land that you're buying. And then again, the exit strategy also.
Yes.
This needs to be discussed from the outset.
Yes.
I might want to buy in now, but 5 years later I might decide that actually I would like to sell and I would like to exit. How do you go about that?
Yeah.
What are the rules governing exit? Must you sell to the people in the group, or are outsiders welcome to come and buy into the group as well, into the investment? So these are all things that are very critical and key and need to be thought about as you go out there to purchase land as a group.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once again, you can't really avoid the professionals. So I see, there's a lawyer that's needed somewhere in there,
Absolutely.
To have that conversation with them and they guide you on some of the things we might not have thought about, because we can all be excited and then, we just buy land and after 2 years, one of us is like, I'm out of here. Okay. So I think you've already mentioned some of the pitfalls that buyers encounter and that they can avoid. I don't know if there's any that we have missed out that you might have remembered even as we talked. Is there something you feel like we've missed out in, what are the pitfalls in buying land in Uganda?
Maybe just making sure that you've got, I can't emphasize the due diligence process enough.
Yes.
Just making sure that you've done your searches at the Ministry of Lands to ascertain ownership. And the other one is that I didn't talk about is disputed land.
Okay.
Not usually, but sometimes you might find that there are disputes on the land that you're not aware of. And one party, the party that's selling, has not let you know that, there is a dispute on this land.
Yes.
And you pay for it, and you end up finding yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Because now you've paid the money already, you probably paid to the wrong person. Without knowing that there's a dispute, there's a caveat on the land, or you can't now go ahead and own and develop it until you resolve that, so you have to end up paying again.
Yes.
So you've got to be very careful with disputed land.
Yes.
And this is where the due diligence comes in again. Ask as much as you possibly can. Talk to the neighbors, talk to the LCs, get your lawyers to do, whatever they can to make sure that they have ascertained the true ownership of that land.
All right. Does that also fall in the same category as where there are squatters on the land? Is that same?
Well, when the squatters are, you will see a squatter when they're there.
Yeah.
If you go to buy a piece of land and you find structures on the land, then
Yes.
you need to inquire. Are you buying the structures as well?
Yes.
Who do they belong to?
Yeah.
So you'd see a squatter because they're usually on the land, or if they've cultivated the land, you would ask questions. When are they going to harvest? And this is part of when you're taking possession. Remember, I talked about when are you taking possession?
Yeah, they say maybe after the harvest, once we're done here.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, those are things that raise questions, because if they tell you can't, possess immediately because somebody needs to come and harvest and take it away, then you ask questions.
More questions.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things. That's why it's important to go to the place.
Yes,
That's the only way you would see some of these things. Otherwise, you might never know that there was maize in the corner, from a picture. They will take it strategically to avoid things like those. That's a good one to raise disputed land. Sometimes you bought land and, there's one person in the family that sold, yet there are 4 other siblings that were not for it. And and you lose money, spend your time in court now trying to get your money back. All right. Someone had an interesting question. What are the signs that a particular area or region is good for investment, whether land or housing? How would you know that this one is a good one? Yes.
So usually you would see a growth in infrastructure development, the roads, they're building roads into that area, or they're being rehabilitated, or they're being expanded, or new roads are being created into that area. Another telltale sign is the demographics, the population growth.
Yeah.
If you see a growing population, and you can get these numbers from KCCA, they actually recently published the National Physical Development Plan, and they were for Wakiso and Greater Kampala metropolitan area, and they were breaking down the population growth in these areas, and the trends and the demographics of the different divisions. So where you see increasing population, it should tell you that there's going to be demand for more housing.
Yes.
Because these people need to live somewhere, they need to stay somewhere. Where you see a young demographic as well, a younger population, working population, means that they, hopefully they'll have a disposable income, and they will be demanding amenities, housing, goods and services, and housing as well. So that's another telltale sign. Economic growth, when you see an area that's vibrant, if you go to places like Mukono right now, or Matuga, Nansana, all the commuter towns that you're seeing, there's a lot of economic activity that's happening there. So that's a good sign. It's telling you that there's future growth in those areas. And these are areas that you should be looking to purchase land and or property in.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think you guys have heard how to spot the good places that you can go ahead and invest in. The last time you were here, you told us you mentioned that, when you're buying land, you need to consider, your risk appetite. You need to remember that it's not a fast-moving consumer good and things like those. I want you to just talk a little bit about that. For that person who missed that show, that you can talk about it. Considerations when buying land,
So you need
as an investment, that it's not something you're going to sell off tomorrow and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. So you need to consider what your risk appetite is. As you said, you have very good memory, good student. What is your risk appetite? Are you averse to risk, or are you somebody who, doesn't mind a bit of risk? So you need to ask yourself this question before you're going to investing in either land and or property.
Yeah.
And then you have got to ask yourself, how much money do I actually have to spend? What's my disposable income? And am I going to spend all my savings, or am I going to spend some of what I have? So it's also very important to determine your financial strength, your financial capability and capacity to actually go and make that investment. And then your investment horizon as well. Do you want to invest for the long term? Do you want to invest for the short term? Because if you want to invest for the short term, then, property, real estate is not, as you said, an FMCG. So it's not something that you can buy today, flip tomorrow, and expect to make supernormal profits. Sometimes you can in very, fast-moving markets. But in markets such as ours, and in many instances, really, that is not the intention of investing in real estate.
Okay.
So it is a long-term investment. It's an investment that needs time for you to recover your money and time for money to make money. So you need to consider all these things when you're going into real estate investment. You need to give it time. You need to consider your ability to pay, your financial strength to pay for the land, and you need to consider if you're risk averse or not. That will help you determine which or where you buy.
Yes.
And what returns you're looking for.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you guys have heard. I'm going to ask you an interesting question. As you were listening to the sermon, what were some of the things you were thinking about?
I have to run and buy land.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I took out of that. And indeed, on yesterday, I was out in Nakosi looking at land that's owned by the church. Beautiful land, incidentally. And I will really, I'm very interested. And I would encourage everybody who hasn't been to look at the plots of land that HMC is selling to go out there and look at it, because it's beautiful, beautiful pieces of land. It's growing very quickly. So I think, and for me, the comforting thing is that, these are people that they're members of our congregation.
Yes.
So it would be wonderful to live in a community, or to own land in a community of people that that you have the same values, hopefully, and you're in the same spirit with.
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking. So
at that time, yeah.
So immediately I went out and had a look, and I will be making my own investments as well.
You'll be making your own investments. I think, guys, you've had, even me, I'll be making my own investments. Yes, she's told you, and really good reasons, but also the land is legit, really.
Absolutely.
You don't have to worry about, disputed land and squatters on the land that HMC is selling off. So please do go. And if Judy is thinking about buying some land, you should also be thinking about buying land. I mean, like they always say, they're not making any more land. Yeah, God is not creating new land. What is there is what is being taken. And do not listen to stories, that the richest guys are selling off and not buying any more land. Please go ahead and buy that land. And I would like you to also talk to a student. If there's a student, a young person that just started work, what would you tell them about land ownership? Yeah.
It's a good investment to make. And HMC is offering this land where you can pay in installments.
Yes.
So, and that really is a blessing, and it's a good thing, because not very many sellers will give you that opportunity to pay over time. So even the students who are out there with the little savings that you have, you can actually start now and just slowly be depositing onto that land. You don't have to have all the money all at once.
Yes.
Especially with specific reference to HMC. But if you keep depositing little by little, and they're smaller parcels. If you want bigger ones, you can buy many together, or you can buy, a small 50 by 100. So there's opportunities to either be a large landowner or a small landowner.
Yes.
And the parcels of land have been split up into affordable, but decent, reasonable sized plots, which can be developed with a bungalow. So, it's a good investment to make, and I would just encourage them to save and look towards purchasing that land.
All right. I think, guys, you've heard it. Don't say that, other people are telling you. I told you she's an expert, and she's encouraging us to go there and see. So I think HMC should be ready. Their phones are going to be so busy. Everybody is going to be calling them and trying to acquire some of that land. It's always a great idea. Talk to the business owner about land. Is it an easy process, the same way it is for an individual as it is for a business to acquire land, or not?
Oh yeah, the principles are really the same.
Yes.
The principles are the same, and I'm assuming that for a business, because they're bigger and they have more money, they're able to afford a bigger parts of land and probably part with bigger amounts of money. So the principles really remain the same
for a business.
Yeah.
Yes. And land outside Uganda, if I want to buy it, say in Kenya, what are your thoughts as a business, really? Yeah.
charity begins at home. Let's start, investing in our own country first.
All right.
And then we can move out there as a secondary investment.
All right.
I always believe in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, in investing at home. So
Yeah.
guys, first clear the one that's here before you think of, owning lands all over the globe and the continent, And there's another question here, and even as we try and wrap this up, there's always many of them. And which one was it? I think you've talked about the scams. Yes. Any government incentives for investors in the real estate section? Any that you know of?
Is that a trick question? Yes, the roads. They're building roads for us into these suburbs.
All right.
Infrastructure
Yes,
is
yeah.
an incentive.
Yes.
But seriously, that is one of the things that government has really invested a lot of money in, is building the roads.
Yes.
And really opening up the suburbs. And that's why we've managed to have so many commuter towns. I don't know if you've read one of our commuter reports.
Yes.
On commuter towns. You'll notice that a lot of those commuter towns are at the end of newly
Yes.
constructed roads or rehabilitated or widened roads, which has opened up the greater Kampala
It's
metropolitan
true.
area.
Yes.
And that is something really good that government has done. Utilities are there, water, electricity. Most of Kampala's and greater Kampala is now connected to Wi-Fi and telecoms.
Yes.
So, and fiber even. So I think in that regard, government has done something.
In the
It
area
would
of
be good-
infrastructure. Yes.
Infrastructure. It would be good if we would see a few more incentives.
Yes.
Like, tax holidays, rollover. If we could get VAT recovered
Yes,
from
land.
developments.
Yes, and development,
from real estate development, or if you can roll it over, and many other, bringing the utilities to the parcels of land. And we just have to, the developer then just has to concentrate on putting up the houses. And if they could do the road infrastructure within the estates as well,
estates, yes.
bring the electricity, bring the sewerage and drainage services, bring the water to the gate of the development estate, and the developer just has to get on with the
Yes,
development.
yeah.
Right now, the developers
makes
are
it
having to do
even more
everything.
affordable. Yes,
Exactly,
yeah, yes,
exactly.
yeah.
But now the developers having to incur those costs which they can't recover.
Yes.
So it makes the properties expensive.
Expensive. Yes.
And therefore we can't really afford to build affordable housing.
Yes, yet. So
Yes.
never know. Never know. We have to be hopeful
Yeah.
that hopefully it will change and they'll be able to do some of these things, allowing us to get affordable housing. The last
Absolutely.
time someone was asking actually about affordable housing, why aren't more real estate developers building more of these affordable housing spaces? But I think you've already answered that. That's part of the reason why it is that. And even as we wrap up, how has been the uptake of these rentals and things like those in the sector? How has it
Very
been?
good. Rentals are doing very well
Yes.
because it's a sweet spot in terms of affordability.
Yeah.
And you find that a lot of the young professionals and the working, middle income segment of people all live in these rentals.
Yes.
Remember, we have an acute shortage of housing in Kampala. So even the little that's available is being rented by those who should be owning property, really, so to speak.
Yes.
So the more we build, the better it is for us, because
Yes.
the shortage is nowhere, and we're falling more and more behind in terms of the number of housing units that
Oh,
are
really,
required,
yeah?
because we cannot build fast enough
For the population.
for the demand,
Yeah.
the effective demand that is out there. So
Right.
rentals are doing very well, very,
All right.
very well, yes.
So I hear some advice in there. If you can, build some rentals as well. Yes, go
100%,
ahead
yeah.
and build some of these because the demand actually
Is there,
exists.
yeah.
Yes, because there was also a myth that, rentals are not a thing to invest in right now, the return on investment and all that. But I guess you just demystified that as well. The demand exists, so
Yes,
do
the
go
demand,
ahead
the, the demand is there, and actually the return
Yeah.
is good. I don't buy that narrative. Yes, there is tax on rental income,
yeah.
but still, the returns are better than actually. They're higher returns for the rental the rental property than for the prime. The returns on the prime
Interesting.
prime apartments in the more prime suburbs.
Oh,
Believe it or not, yeah, we can go as high as 15% return on investment, rental return on investment, return on rental investment.
rental investment.
Yeah, than you can with the prime apartments in Kololo.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I was in a space where that was the debate, and people are like, "No, rentals not the place to go right now." But
Yeah,
I
and
guess you
that's
just-
even the
yes.
demand for them. If you drive around some of these prime suburbs, you'll notice that a lot of them are vacant.
Are vacant, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas with a rental, there's usually a queue waiting to move in. As soon as somebody moves out, there's someone waiting to move in.
To move in,
Because within that segment, the effective demand is extremely high, and we can't afford to build quick enough to satisfy that demand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys, you had it here. Judy, I don't know if you have any closing remarks, even as we wrap up the conversation on land and houses and building houses, following what we've been learning at Garage, which was the anointing is available for you to build as well as to buy land. And we are in a church that is really passionate about this, and they're practicing exactly what we're being told. I think right now Worship Harvest has so many pieces of land, lots of building, and so it only makes sense that if you're a member of Worship Harvest, you're definitely part of that anointing and you can actually partake of it. So please listen to the instruction. Go ahead, buy land. We've just talked now. We've mentioned HMC. We've mentioned pooling resources with your friends, with your family members. And we have said that there's that land that's available at whatever price you have. It exists in this country. So go ahead and get that land. I don't know if Judy has any closing remarks, even as we wrap it up.
No, just to really emphasize, Sharon, what you said, I think it's the thought of just, and I want everybody to just imagine living in a community where, you're with people who you share the same values, you share the same, principles and Christian beliefs, and you're sort of following the same teachings. It's a safe community.
Yes.
It's a good community. And when I went to have a look at the land in Nakosi, and I'll be going to look at Bujuko as well and all the others,
Yes.
I just stood there and I thought that it would be wonderful to even start, have a church there, for example,
Yes.
and create a community of its own.
Wow, yeah.
Out there whereby, we have Worship Harvest Nakosi, for example, with a church, and the congregation is already there.
Yes.
And our children are safe in
Yeah.
that environment. Hopefully all living the same values as well.
Yes.
So I would really encourage as many of us as we can to build these communities and support our church.
Yes.
And buy land in these
spaces,
in these
yes.
places. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you're looking to influence as well, it's an opportunity for you
100%.
to, influence
Yeah.
For Jesus in that space
Yes,
when you
absolutely.
live there.
Yeah.
If you've
Yeah.
been wondering where to go, it's an opportunity for you to now minister to the people that are in that space and influence and extend the kingdom of God and bring the good news to those communities.
Yes.
Yes. So brilliant. Thank you very much, Judy. It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure now we are even more confident to go out and buy. We've been equipped with the knowledge, what we need to watch out for, what we need to do. Please, due diligence. Do not think the professionals are too expensive, because that might cost you just trying to save that money. Refer to the professionals. I don't know if Knight Frank is able to advise individuals at this level, but I'm sure you can go there and ask them, consult. There's someone who can give you an answer or two in line with that. So from all of us here at Business Garage, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm sure that we have enjoyed. Go ahead, share the link. This broadcast will remain on YouTube, on Worship Harvest, so that you can watch as well as share this knowledge and information to somebody that's out there. And we've been talking about Abraham buying land as a church. We're talking about God, Jesus, and his love and his desire for you to have land as well. Not only in heaven, where he's setting up a mansion for you, but even here on earth. But it all starts with a relationship with him. Yes, you cannot do all these things outside of relationship with him. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to make the most important decision of your life, even more than buying land, which is to give your life to Christ, so that your life can have more meaning, because the Creator is the one who knows what he created you to do, so that you can have a purposeful and fulfilling life. So if you'd like to give your life to Christ today, we have an opportunity right now. You can say this prayer with me and you will immediately be born again. So you can close your eyes, bow your head, and repeat after me. Say, "Dear Lord, Thank you for my life. Thank you that you love me. Thank you that you gave everything for me so that I could have life. I ask you today to come into my life. Be my Lord and Savior. Forgive me for all my sins and take my life and do something amazing with it. I receive your love. I receive your salvation. In your name, amen. And if you just said that prayer, you are born again and would like to know that you did. So just let us know that I gave my life to Christ today. You can let us know on this number, +256 775 642 449. +256 775 642 449. There's a pastor at the end of that line that is ready to celebrate with you, to welcome you to the loving church family and to the family of God above all, and to help you make sense of the prayer that you just made. So thank you all of you for tuning in to Business Garage today. I hope you enjoyed and found it insightful, informative, and life-changing as well. And until next time, from all of us here at Worship Harvest Studios Business Garage, we love you, we're rooting for you, and above all, God loves you. You've already been blessed, so go out and be a blessing. Until next time, bye-bye.